All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. We really appreciate you coming to this webinar. Achieve your goals sustainably, save energy, cut waste, and lower emissions. Before we get started, I'm just going to run over some quick housekeeping. So first, we want to thank Dell Technologies for bringing us this content. Really appreciate you all spending your time with us here today. Two is that this webinar is being recorded, so please keep that in mind. And if you have questions, please put them in the chat or the Q&A. We will be doing our best to monitor them both and get to all of the questions at the end. There is time scheduled for a QA portion. And then with our new Elevate site, make sure you update your profile. You can get topics of interest specifically tailored to you. So that way you get those emails and not every email. So what you'll do is you'll log in and then click update profile, which will be in the bottom left. If you have questions, please reach out to member services or use that little chat bot that is on our website. And last but not least, before we get into the content, we want to hear from you. Please don't forget to participate in our post-event survey. Your feedback is super valuable to us, and 2 lucky survey participants will be randomly selected to win a $25 Amazon gift card. So please make sure you fill that out. It'll pop up on your screen right when you leave the webinar. But without further ado, Megan, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning. Thank you guys so much for having us. I'm Megan Carrasco. I'm the Director of Portfolio Sustainability Marketing here at Dell Technologies, and I'm joined by 2 of our experts and my friends, Maria Lopez and Adrian Reddy. Let me get that popped up here. So Maria focuses on our data center sustainability strategy, and Adrian focuses on sustainability in our client devices. So we're brought together here today because we are at a critical moment. What was once optional is now essential. Every IT decision is shaped by performance demands, rising energy costs, regulatory pressure, and expectations from our customers and investors alike. And the headlines say it all. AI and data centers are driving record energy demand, electricity prices are continuing to climb, and governments worldwide are accelerating rules on emissions, transparency, and circularity. The market wants to see proof, not promises, and making sustainability a direct measure of business performance. And at Dell Technologies, we see this as both a challenge and as an opportunity. Our portfolio at Dell is designed to deliver organizations cost-cutting capabilities, reducing your impact, helping reduce waste so that you can stay ahead of shifting regulations. And from our efficient servers and our AI-optimized infrastructure to the way that we use circular design, the way that we report on everything so that we can be transparent, are all here to help you achieve your goals sustainably. So with that, we're going to talk about some key focus areas for us. We're going to talk about our sustainability strategy and our key foundational pillars, which are climate action. For Dell, that means how we're driving down emissions across the life cycle of our technologies through better, more energy efficient products, lower carbon design choices, and innovations like liquid cooling. The goal is to help our customers reduce their environmental impact as well as their IT operations so that they're not sacrificing any performance, but they can balance both. And then from a circularity perspective, it's about how we keep those materials and products and components in use for as long as possible in the circular economy. And that means making our products more repairable, more durable, easier to recycle and refurbish. And so over the next 45 minutes, we're going to dive into each of these areas with our experts in each of these areas. And we'll, of course, talk about AI. And then at the end, we will have an open Q&A. And we'll have a couple of poll questions sprinkled in there too. To start, let's go ahead and do our first poll on the theme of climate action. So we want to know, what do you see are the biggest barriers to reducing IT-related emissions? Is it energy costs, technology limitations, organizational priorities, or lack of clear data? Can everybody see the poll? There it is.
I see it now.
All right, we'll just give everybody just a minute to fill that in. Okay, we'll keep letting that go. You guys have about a minute to fill that in. But Maria, how about if we go ahead and start with you? So we know that energy is a huge topic in the data center right now. Can you talk more about how we're trying to reduce emissions in the data center?
Yes, customers are thinking more holistically now, not just using efficient servers, but asking themselves, how do we reduce our data footprint? How can we cut down energy and cooling cost? So that's why we take a full life cycle approach to have the answers for our customers. We design for efficiency from day one. And a great example of this is our latest Power Edge servers, where one can now replace up to 7 older models. In other words, one can do the work of 7 older models, depending on configuration. And that consolidation drives major energy and cooling savings while helping customers meet both cost and emissions goals. So our approach includes, like I said, making sure we design energy efficient servers, smarter storage with less power draw, offering advanced cooling technologies like multi-vector cooling and direct liquid cooling at the node level and at scale, which allows high performance computing with significantly less energy and water. And we are continuously innovating in the cooling space. And we recently introduced our latest cooling technology, the PowerCool Enclosed Rear Door Heat Exchanger, or the PowerCool ERDHX, like we call it, which utilizes warmer facility water, which can reduce cooling energy costs by up to 60% compared to the traditional rear door heat exchanger. We also recently launched a fully integrated liquid cooled rack scale system for large scale AI deployments, which, if combined with the PowerCool enclosed rear door heat exchanger, it can help you cut annual energy costs by up to 1/3 compared to only using air cooling. Our approach also includes offering monitoring softwares like Dell AI Ops and iDRAC to gain better visibility and get real-time insights to optimize power and emissions dynamically.
Well, that's super important. We just saw it in the poll. If you saw it flash up there, it looked like lack of clear data was one of the biggest barriers that we're seeing today. So that seems right on track. Adrian, can you talk to us a little bit about what that looks like on the client side and at the desk?
Definitely. If you think about the average workday, we're all using our devices and displays upwards of 8, maybe 10 hours a day, and every individual uses them as opposed to a server, for example. And that can really add up. Our AI PCs use NPUs or neural processing units to offload background AI tasks, meaning less cloud usage, better battery life. For instance, our Copilot Plus PCs provide all-day battery life with up to 21 hours from just a single charge, so users can feel productive and confident on the go without worrying about where they're going to plug in next. Additionally, we're seeing efficiencies across the desk. Our latest monitors auto-adjust brightness and reduce blue light while using significantly less energy than previous models. If you compare our monitors from 5 years ago to our current ones today, they use up to 33% less power. Additionally, our docking stations also help consolidate power and simplify connections, cutting all that cable clutter and energy use across the desk.
Awesome. That's super helpful. Thank you both. It reminds me of the theme of product carbon footprints. That's one of our top questions from customers is about how do we measure the emissions of our products. And so a product carbon footprint, or PCF as we talk about it, are basically emissions report cards for each of the products measured across their entire life cycle. And at Dell, we do that in 4 main areas. We do that in manufacturing, which is about how we make the product. The energy use or the use phase, which is the power that the product consumes over its lifetime. Transportation is how we get it to our customers. And then there's the end of life, which is what happens when it's no longer being used. Do we recycle it? Are we able to recycle it? Can we reuse it? Is it discarded? So all of that weighs into the emissions reporting. Now, PCFs today are not perfect. There's not really a real industry standard for the IT industry. Every company calculates them a little bit differently. But so it's not always an apples to apples comparison, but it is good from a generation over generation view if you're looking at one Dell model versus the next Dell model gen over gen. But really for us, the value at Dell is to be able to see where we could be making improvements with each generation. Is our manufacturing phase higher in this generation than it was the previous generation? That shouldn't be happening because we're using that to monitor our progress. And so those are things that help us to go directionally. Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? Now, Maria, can you talk about how we use product carbon footprints in the IT space and the data center space?
Yes. So if any of you have ever seen a PCF or product carbon footprint report for a data center product, you might have noticed that the energy use or the use phase is the biggest impact category. So we're working to reduce the energy consumed by our products by, again, making sure we're designing our servers to be the most energy efficient possible. And that means thinking about the components we choose, to where we place them, to how we design the actual hardware platform to optimize that airflow, offering advanced cooling technologies, and making our servers denser, which allows our customers to consolidate infrastructure and workloads for less consumption. And it also helps to reduce their physical hardware footprint, which not only does it reduce emissions, it can also open up space to reallocate energy savings to newer AI deployments, which require a big amount of energy. And it's also becoming a concern for customers. So Adrian, can you share how this looks like on the client side?
Sure. When it comes to client, manufacturing is the biggest impact category on PCFs. So we've implemented innovations this year, such as reducing the mainboard size within our PCs to help lower emissions. Other things like transportation and end of life have a small impact on PCFs, and we address that with more sustainable packaging and logistics, as well as offering end of life services, such as our global take back programs. Additionally, we're always striving to reduce e-waste by making our devices easier to repair and service versus discarding devices or components unnecessarily. And I'll touch on this a little bit more later in the session.
Okay, thank you both. So speaking of emissions and data, let's switch over to the big topic, which is, of course, AI. We do have a poll for everybody here as well. So the question is, where do you think AI will make the biggest difference in sustainability? So we'll give you a second to answer that. But, obviously we know that AI is very power hungry. We see it in headlines every day, or at least that's what my algorithm is set to tell me what's happening every day, every new data center, every new concern that pops up, about concerns around energy scarcity, how it's impacting the local communities, water usage. All of those are things that we need to take into account. And I know that Dell's working on several things to help mitigate our impacts. And so, Maria, we'll hand that over to you. I just want to see if we've got some responses here. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and kick it off and we'll see how those responses come in.
Sure. So for us, it's all about right sizing. That's the first step we guide our customers through to deploy AI efficiently and sustainably. So we guide them through these 4 key steps you see on this slide. Step 1, to right size your AI workload, of course, you need to first determine your objective or your goal. We need to start with what the business wants to achieve. What is the corresponding set of users? Where does the data reside? Etc. Step 2, identify the use case. What do you want this Gen AI to help with? Step 3, decide on the AI pattern or AI type. So with an understanding of your objective and use case, you can determine the right pattern to achieve the right results with the right balance of performance, risk, and cost, whether that's a pre-trained model, model augmentation, fine-tuning, or model training. I'm seeing the responses here. There's a tie between accelerating climate and materials research and enabling smarter supply chains. Interesting. So to continue here with this slide, so step 4, right size the actual investment. So depending on the pattern you choose, you will know how to better scope and optimize the infrastructure footprint that you need to build. Some models can be deployed on laptops, while other models might require a GPUs. So it really all comes down to what is it that you're trying to accomplish, and that's where this helpful framework can come into play. Right sizing will avoid overspending, overbuilding, and over-consuming energy. We also have our Dell AI Factory, which is Dell's approach to help accelerate AI innovation in organizations of all sizes. It spans our portfolio of products, solutions, and services optimized for AI workloads to help our customers achieve AI outcomes faster. So these are just a few ways we're helping our customers implement AI efficient and responsibly. And from the responses I see, I think we're going to touch a little bit more on materials later on in supply chain. So stay tuned for that.
Definitely. But it's also a good point that people call out that energy, that we don't really think it's going to help with energy, but there are some cool things that we're working on with our Concept Astro work, which we're not really going to touch on today, but definitely would recommend that people look up what we're doing there. But I do believe ultimately that AI will be able to help us with energy efficiency, but maybe it gets a little worse before it gets better. But I know that that's a big mission for all of us on this call, is to try to implement AI in the most efficient way possible. So let's
Definitely.
hand that over actually to Adrian. So I know that people don't think about client when we're thinking about this topic as much, but it is a big part of the conversation because it does contribute to some of the energy consumption. But to Maria's point, there are some opportunities where you could use PCs to run a workload. So can you talk to us more about what that looks like?
Definitely. To your point, with rising AI workloads, our AI PCs are actually optimized to handle certain tasks locally, things like transcription, security, and visual processing. This means fewer pings to cloud-based tools, lower latency, as well as lower emissions. Plus, devices with NPUs are seeing battery improvements, which I touched on earlier, and this helps both sustainability as well as the end user experience. In fact, when running AI collaboration tools on our AI PCs, they actually run up to 34% cooler and are 80% more energy efficient as well.
Excellent. So I mean, ultimately, the takeaway is to let the right device do the right work, the right tool for the job, right? And that'll help you avoid unnecessary infrastructure drag and help reduce waste. Awesome. So let's move to circularity. We do have our last poll for the session coming up here. So the question is, if you had to pick one, which circular practice would create the most impact in your organization? So again, circularity is about designing with technology in mind to lower emissions, to reduce waste, improving repair and reuse and recycling, which we'll talk about. Adrian, I know this is a big focus in our client portfolio. You guys have been leading in a lot of those innovations. Can you talk to us more about what your your guidelines are and how you guys go about making those decisions?
Absolutely. Circular design means we plan for the entire life cycle, not just the product launch, but what happens after year 1, year 5, and end of life. And durability is such a key part of sustainable design, ensuring that our technology lasts longer, helps reduce waste, and enhances the value for our customer. And durability really starts with designing the hardware that can withstand time and use. And Dell actually has some unique tests that we've developed and simulates how people engage with their devices. For example, our micro drop test simulates those everyday accidental drops and bumps over a long period of time. These tests will actually drop our systems thousands of times at a variety of angles from a height of about 6 inches. Another example is our wrench test, which tests our Type-C or USB-C ports. Imagine how you all use your computer. You're often plugging in and out of these ports, whether to charge your device or connect to other peripherals. They are subject to a lot of daily use. And testing for durability here with our wrench test, we will test, twist resistance and impact resistance. And that's really important for our customers. But to elaborate a little bit more on our Type-C ports, traditionally a broken connector meant replacing the entire motherboard or leading to complex repairs and potential data loss. And we've actually solved for this challenge by introducing the world's first modular USB-C port in a commercial PC across our Dell Pro and Dell Pro Max portfolios. So now the ports are actually secured by screws instead of soldered down to the main board. And with tests like the wrench test, we've improved, durability, impact, and twist resistance while making parts easier to repair. So overall, we take product durability and reliability really seriously here at Dell, so our customers can feel confident with their devices and ensure that they can last longer. And I'm also really excited to see from this poll that modular design for upgrades was the leading result. So
Yeah,
glad we're
it sounds like you're
aligned
on the right track. That's very reassuring. Thank you, guys.
Yep, agree. I feel like we do really good in that space and we try to keep improving in it as well. So when it comes to data center equipment, durability looks a little different. Like Adrian very well explained, personal devices are designed to withstand drops. Data center equipment, not exactly that much. We focus more on how we can reduce the wear and tear on components and extend the life of the hardware. A good example of that is our fresh air cooling that allows our hardware to operate in up to 95-degree temperatures without impacting performance. But we also perform shock and vibration tests on servers to make sure that we don't have any component failure. We also have servers that are actually certified to operate in rugged, dusty environments, and these can operate in more extreme temperatures ranging from 113 to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. And they feature a filtered smart bezel for dust protection. So it looks different, but it is still a very essential part of maintaining optimal performance and efficiency throughout the product lifecycle.
Thanks, Maria. I don't think a lot of people think about durability that way. I mean, they're different products and they need to be durable for completely different reasons. And so it's obviously important that we try to work to address both. But I know durability is not the only thing that we focus on in terms of circularity. We also look at sustainable materials. Adrian, you want to kick us off on that one?
Absolutely. We're committed to using materials that are responsibly sourced and have a lower environmental impact. And we integrate recycled plastics and metals into our products wherever possible. This not only reduces waste, but also lessens the demand for virgin resources. A great example of this is how we're innovating and exploring recycled materials in our PC batteries with the use of cobalt. We've invested in mitigating the use of virgin cobalt and pivoted toward increasing the use of recycled cobalt in our PC batteries by up to 50%. And this is without compromising performance, of course. But not only are we using recycled cobalt, but we've also experimented and explored different battery chemistries. This year, we introduced a new battery technology called NCM, which stands for nickel cobalt manganese, that uses less cobalt. So we actually introduced the industry's only PCs to ship with a battery made from 80% reduced cobalt. So this really showcases how we're developing alternatives to lithium ion batteries that rely on different minerals while still delivering the longevity, reliability, and power density that customers expect.
And we also use sustainable materials in our data center hardware, such as recycled steel and plastic. And since steel is the largest material composition in our data center products, we focus more on recycled steel because it can result in bigger impacts. And by integrating recycled steel and plastics, Dell reduces reliance on virgin resources, minimizes landfill waste, and limits emissions associated with extraction, contributing to broader positive environmental outcomes.
That's a really great point, Maria. And that's why recovering our technology is so important because we can reuse materials, components, and extend the life of devices so we can reduce waste and emissions. So that's why offering our various take back and asset recovery services are so critical because it creates a supply chain for us to use even more recycled materials. We're constantly exploring how can we evolve our business practices to improve our asset lifecycle planning, helping our customers extend the use of their technology through easy upgrades and repairs. And, when that technology does reach end of life, we handle it responsibly through our asset recovery services. We'll actually help our customers securely and responsibly retire their IT while maximizing value for, the business, supporting the circular economy, as well as advancing sustainability objectives too.
Yep, that's right. And our Tech Refresh and Recycle program also supports this for server and storage products. Customers get a no-cost disposal, and parts are either re-entered into the manufacturing cycle, or resold, or responsibly recycled.
Awesome. Thank you both. So we talked about what kinds of materials we use, how we make the products more durable. Let's talk about dematerialization, how we use less materials and processes involved, because those do contribute to some of the emissions as well. Maria, I know you have a really great example on our T160 server. Do you want to share that with the class?
Yes, of course. So on our infrastructure products, we're also looking at ways to reduce emissions and waste in the manufacturing processes. And one idea that came out of that was reducing paints and finishes. So we piloted that on our T160 server last year. We opted for leaving the steel finish instead of painting the chassis like we would normally do. And people really loved it. And our desire is to continue to use those natural finishes where possible. And it looks very cool and modern, but the best benefit is that it also helps improve recyclability of the material at end of life.
Mhm. We're also exploring dematerialization on the client side. So this year we redesigned our main boards across our commercial portfolio, reducing their size by up to 29% compared to the previous generation model. And when you design smaller boards, we've made room for better thermal performance and longer battery life. And this change is a key part of our strategy. The redesign meaningfully reduces materials, energy consumption, and may help lower emissions during the manufacturing process as well. So if we're pairing automation, streamlined manufacturing, we're not just building better products, but we're also lowering our environmental impact. But most importantly, even with the implementation of modular components, reduced size components, we're not compromising product durability or reliability.
Great. So, I mean, where does that fit into the idea of repair and refurbishing devices?
Yeah, great question. So repairing instead of replacing is a major win. For example, the main board I just mentioned, that accounts for about 30% of manufacturing phase emissions. If we repair that instead of swapping the whole component or device unnecessarily, we're cutting emissions significantly. We also have tools to make repairability more accessible for our customers, such as our Dell AR Assistant app, which empowers users to extend their device themselves, really. And this is actually a free smartphone app available both in the Apple or Android App Store. Simply, if you have your smartphone, you point your camera at your device and it'll provide visual step-by-step repair guidance. Additionally, our 2025 commercial PC products also offer a digital entry point with QR codes. If you simply scan the code, it will take you to the appropriate support pages for additional walkthrough experiences. So overall, we're designing our products to make it easier for our customers to access repairs and part upgrades as well.
Yep. Like Adrian very well explained, repairability and modularity are built in from design. Our data center products are also very modular. They have numerous toolless swappable components that can make repairs easier and minimize damages. A lot of our components are color coded and they identify hot swappable versus cold swappable components, making maintenance smoother and more user friendly. We also proactively replace parts through Pro Support Plus, where telemetry helps us predict failures so components can arrive before problems can occur, reducing downtime and extending the system life.
All super helpful. Thank you, ladies. Let's talk about a little bit about packaging. Packaging is one of my favorite topics. Maria, I know this is one of your favorites as well. We've made a lot of really great improvements in the last year. But I know that we've made a lot of changes on the client side as well. Adrian, you want to start us off with that?
Yeah, definitely. To your point, we've made major strides. Our packaging actually leads the way across not just client, but our server portfolios and client peripherals as well. 97% of our packaging this year is made from recycled or renewable sources. So as I just mentioned, that includes all notebooks, desktops, and servers, including volume orders known as multi-pack, shipped in 100% recycled or renewable packaging. And in 2025, for clients specifically, we deployed the same strategy of shipping products in the 100% recycled or renewable packaging across our displays and PC accessories. That was new this year. We're also reducing the amount of paper within our PC packaging by digitizing the quick start guides and warranty sheets that usually come with your device. So this year, we estimate that Dell will actually save more than 64 million sheets of paper, which is the equivalent to saving about 1,308 trees.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for the great discussion today. I think you all made really great points. I can't wait to hear what everybody has to say about them. But before we open it up for questions, I just wanted to get a feel from you guys, like looking towards the future. Lots of things are going on right now. What's kind of one thing that each of you are excited about within your respective categories? Maria, let's start with you.
Sure. I'm excited mostly to continue to see how we can use AI to advance sustainability in many different ways, like helping us understand workloads better, to smarter workload infrastructure and energy management to reduce energy consumption, which Megan, you mentioned Concept Astro in the conversation, and I love that you brought it up as well, because I highly encourage everyone to go and learn more about Concept Astro, but it's one of those proof of concepts where we using AI and digital twin technology for workload management. So excited to see more of that, how even Concept Astro can evolve with AI. And also excited to see greater adoption of liquid cooling and our latest cooling technologies. With AI, we know it consumes a lot of energy, so it produces a lot of heat. So I feel like liquid cooling is going to be, a must if we want to deploy AI efficiently and responsibly. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see how organizations can benefit from newer cooling technologies and how they continue to innovate with AI.
Thank you, Maria. Yeah, those are real good ones. Adrian?
Yeah, I'm excited to see how our design innovations continue to evolve across our devices. This year, we really doubled down on modularity, durability, and repair. And many people may not think serviceability and sustainability go hand in hand, but they absolutely do. By making our products easier to repair, we're mitigating that unnecessary e-waste, reducing emissions, and extending the life of our devices, all while making it easier for our customers to access those repairs and upgrades. And even by integrating the use of sustainable materials within our device, we're not compromising the performance of them. And in fact, we're making them more durable. So next year, I'm excited to see how Dell continues to push the envelope with design and exploring the use of diverse recycled, renewable, and low emissions materials across our PCs, monitors, and peripherals, as well as evaluating energy efficiency across the entire desk with our latest products.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Again, we hope that the takeaway from the conversation today is that we are thinking about the entire life cycle of all of our products across the entire organization and are working on ways to make them more efficient, to reduce waste, to deliver more durable and repairable products so that you guys have better experiences, and always welcome feedback through our various forums. But we would love to take any of your questions. So feel free to come off mute, or Jack, if that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to come off mute, raise your hand and I'll unmute you, or you can type it in the Q&A or in the chat. We're watching all of them. We'll give everybody a minute just in case they want to type it out. But I just want to say thank you, the three of you, for spending your day with us. I know there's some thunderstorms in the area, so appreciate you using the hotspot and being here with us, and it worked flawlessly.
Yes, I'm very glad it worked out.
Great.
And of course, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, if there's no questions, we can end a little bit early and give everyone some time back.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
It.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.